Hey everybody, so today I want to talk about how identity affects the impact of our actions. There's a saying that bad habits, negativity are insidious in the way they function. They can be small, minor little things that we do that undermine who we are. And I can't tell you just how true that can be if we let it get out of hand. For example, the other day, I was driving someplace, I had someplace to be, and stopped at a stoplight, and somebody's tarp had come off their vehicle. And I had a moment to run out and grab it. But I didn't. I didn't because I let the fear of, what if somebody hits me? What if someone backs into my car? Because I was a couple cars back, but the light had just turned to green. I even rationalized it with the fact that it's like, well, it's just a tarp, it's harmless, but obviously it's very not harmless, especially when you're thinking about vision. And a couple cars back, someone picked it up. But besides that, there's other things. For me, I love nature. I love being outdoors. I love spending time outdoors. But every once in a while, depending on what I'm doing, there'll be trash or litter or debris. And I'll see it and I won't pick it up. And a lot of you may think all the reasons that I gave for not picking up that tarp, they all seemed like reasonable excuses. It was like, yeah, I could get rear-ended. I was the last person in line. There was somebody coming up that probably just saw the green light. I didn't know if they were going to stop. Traffic was going to start coming the other way. Are they true? Yes, they are. They're possibilities. They are possible outcomes. However, the other possible outcome is that I stopped, put my hazards on real quick, ran out, grabbed the tarp, shoved it in my vehicle, drove away, did a public service. The other option for the litter is, okay, I don't have a lot of space or it's something big and bulky, so I'm not going to take it. Or it's not my job to clean up everything. Right? But, and this is a key part, this is why it's important to know who you are. Because if I didn't know who I was, if I didn't have a clear understanding of who I was, then I could become that person. So rather than what I did, which could sound harsh and judgy to myself, rather than, and I imagine a lot of you, especially in those two contexts, would say, dude, just pick it up. Why are you being lazy? Right? And I can't necessarily disagree, because ultimately, I had the option and I didn't. The reason you feel that way, if you do feel that way, is because of your identity, your beliefs, your values. The reason I feel like it's what I should have done is because my sense of belief and values. Now, if we don't know who we are and we don't really spend a lot of time thinking of it, that's just who we become in our minds. The same way we decide, I'm not a runner, or I don't like to read, or I'm not a reader, or maybe that's the reverse, I'm not a TV watcher. Or I don't like to work out. I don't do personal development, right? All those things, we know objectively they're healthy for us. They help us, right? They can improve our lives through perspective or through health and wellness. Like, I'm not worried about getting a six-pack, so I eat whatever I want, right? That may not be a priority for you. But when did it not become a priority for you? Was this something you decided or something that happened through action? And that's why it can be so insidious. We can start adopting identity traits simply based on what we've been doing. Now, the same works in reverse and can be very supportive. Right? Like if you're the person, if you get into a habit, or if you decide you're going to be the person to dot your I's and dot your I's and cross your T's. Or you're going to be the person who's going to spend an extra minute doing something, reviewing something before you put it out to the world. Or you're the person who takes a beat and thinks about what someone just said to you before you respond. And you start taking those actions. That's the key. You have to start taking those actions. But if you decide that's who you are, then now you have a benchmark, right? Or a lot of people say standards, but it's a benchmark for understanding for your brain. This is who I am. And as you develop that more and more, and as you gain consistency in that, because, right, if it's a new thing we're doing, we're not going to be 100% consistent. Maybe if it's something we've been doing for a very long time, we're not going to be 100% consistent. But our percentage goes up as the ease of observation goes up and as it becomes more ritualized in our life. Okay. But the thing is, I want to be the person who stops for that tarp. I want to be the person who picks up that trash. And typically I am. So when I don't, I notice it. And you can say it's insidious because then that judgment sneaks in, right? But this is the other side, right? Once you know who you are, you now have a benchmark. Like once you decide who you are, you have a benchmark of behavior that allow you to be that person you've decided to be. And then every time we don't do it, it feels wrong. But also every time we don't do it, it works counter to who we say we are, which is just as powerful to a large degree to our subconscious and our belief system as saying we're not that person in the first place. It's not quite as powerful, right? Because then we have 2 points of reinforcement, but we know it. Right? We're either validating or invalidating our beliefs at any given time. So if we want supportive beliefs, we really have to be good about that. We really, really have to be mindful. But again, there's stages of mindfulness. And stage 1 is deciding who we're going to be. Rather than allowing ourselves to be limited by who we've kind of just happened to become over time. And some things, yes, as we experience life, there's a lot of external factors. And through that, our point of views can shift and shape and change. But even so, if we don't want those, if we don't want to believe that way, if we don't want to function that way, that's where we have the chance to form our own individual identity. Yeah. And it's not a matter of taking us out of ourselves, it's about being truer to ourselves. You know, like I've always loved nature. It's always been very supportive for me. So in kind, I want to return it, right? I want to be helpful. I want to be the kind of person who's helpful. So I should have picked up that tarp, right? I'm the kind of person who doesn't put off my responsibilities on somebody else. Another reason I should have done both those things. And again, the vast majority of times I do. Right? But it was just a reminder when it's a really powerful and helpful reminder when I don't of who I want to be. And it helps actually reinforce who I want to be once I've made that decision. Or who you want to be when you've made that decision. So if you think about the kind of person you want to be and how you want to show up in the world, the more things you can do, once you get that clear in your mind, the more things you can do to support that, the more joyful your life is going to be. The fewer things you do to support that or work contrary to it, the more it's going to pull away your joy, your happiness, and the more it's going to erode your self-worth. Because self-worth in large part comes to a matter of belief and action alignment. The farther they are apart, the bigger issue we have, right? So if we're living in alignment, which means we're taking actions that are aligned, we feel good. We don't have mixed messages. We're not getting cross signals. Yeah. We're getting a streamlined pipeline. Right, we're not getting 2 different vehicles trying to go down the same road at different times, or at the same time in different directions. Right, conflict. slow down. Who's playing chicken with who? Who's going to win? We don't know. But essentially, it's the same thing. And again, to wrap this all back up and bring it back and really hone in this video before I finish it, 2 components we talked about today or discussed about is 1, don't let the identity that you've passively developed decide who you want to be. There may be components you want to keep, but there may be components that deep down inside you know you want to get rid of. Deep down inside you feel aren't right. And those are generally the sources of unfulfillment, the things you do. But when you tell people you do them, or when you try to be like, this is just who I am, it doesn't feel good to say that. Right? And then there's the chosen identity. And the chosen identity is when you get real intentional about who you want to become. And that's where real freedom comes in, right? Once you choose who you want to be and make those clear distinctions and get clarity, then it makes it a lot easier to live within those constraints. And I say constraints, but again, it's really freedom. Live within your range of alignment of behaviors that are fulfilling to you and supportive to you. Take out some of the guesswork, make those choices, and then pay attention to your actions, pay attention to your body, and use your body and your reactions as benchmarks for your behavior. But most importantly, do your very best once you make the choice of who you want to be in the world to follow through. Because once you've made that decision, your body and your brain knows that decision, this is really where that self-worth is going to come in. The more actions we take that support who we say we want to be, not only do we reinforce that identity and make it easier to follow through on, but it's where our confidence, our self-belief, our self-love can really start to shine and blossom and grow. So decide who you're going to be. Take actions that align with it. And when they don't, use those not as judgments, but as tools and reminders.